Being a superhero doesn't guarantee you a roof over your head. Some of the most powerful heroes in comics lost everything. Their homes, their money, their identities. They ended up on the streets, sleeping in alleys, wandering aimlessly, broken. These are the superheroes who became homeless. 1. Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock had it all. A law practice with his best friend, Foggy Nelson. An apartment in Hell's Kitchen. A reputation as a lawyer who fought for justice. By day, he defended the innocent in court. By night, he protected them as Daredevil. Then, Wilson Fisk destroyed him. In Daredevil number 227-233, published in 1986, writer Frank Miller and artist David Mazzucchelli created Born Again, the story that broke Daredevil completely. Kingpin learned Matt Murdock was Daredevil. Karen Page, Matt's ex-girlfriend, sold the secret for heroin. She'd left New York years earlier to pursue an acting career. After a brief period of success, she became addicted to heroin, reduced to starring in films in Mexico. Desperate for her next fix, she sold the information for a single shot. The information traveled up the criminal food chain, eventually reached Kingpin. Kingpin didn't kill Matt. That would have been too easy, too merciful. Instead, he dismantled his life piece by piece. Over 6 months. The IRS froze Matt's bank accounts. The bank foreclosed on his apartment. A corrupt police lieutenant testified that he saw Matt pay off a witness. Matt's law license was suspended. Then, Kingpin firebombed his apartment. Matt watched his life burn. Everything he'd built, gone. He had nothing left. No money, no home, no career, no identity, no future. Matt wandered the streets of Hell's Kitchen, the neighborhood he'd protected for years. Now, he was just another homeless man, paranoid, broken, increasingly violent. He couldn't process what was happening. His enhanced senses picked up everything, every sound, every smell. The chaos of the streets overwhelmed him. He confronted Kingpin as Matt Murdock, not Daredevil. Walked into Kingpin's office, tried to fight him with his bare hands. Kingpin beat him brutally. Matt was already weakened, malnourished, exhausted. He didn't stand a chance. Kingpin wasn't done. He poured whiskey over Matt's unconscious body, loaded him into a taxicab, beat the driver to death with the nightstick Matt had stolen from a cop, then pushed the taxi into the East River, trying to drown Matt, make it look like an accident. Matt escaped, barely, pulled himself from the wreckage, but he was homeless, destitute, broken mentally and physically. He lived on the streets, growing a beard, wearing filthy rags, barely recognizable as the man he'd been, the confident lawyer, the fearless hero. Now, he was just another face in the crowd, another homeless man ignored by everyone. One night during a blizzard, Matt was caught in the cold with a pregnant homeless woman. The temperature dropped dangerously low. The woman went into labor in the freezing cold. She died giving birth. Matt held the baby, this innocent child, born into nothing. That moment saved Matt. He made a promise to protect the child. That promise pulled him out of the darkness, gave him purpose again. A nun found him collapsed in the snow with the baby, brought him to a convent. The nun was Maggie Murdock, his mother, the woman he'd been told died when he was young. She'd left when Matt was a child, unable to cope. She became a nun, lived in Hell's Kitchen the entire time, close to her son, but never revealing herself. Now, she nursed Matt back to health, helped him remember who he was, what he fought for. Matt rebuilt himself from nothing. He created new armor, started a new company, Circuits Maximus, became successful again. He confronted Kingpin wearing his new armor, systematically defeated Kingpin's agents. Kingpin's final card was the baby, the child Matt had sworn to protect. Kingpin held the baby, threatened to crush it. Matt revealed his identity. Kingpin prepared to kill him, but Matt had detected interfering frequencies in Kingpin's systems. He destroyed them. Matt caught the baby, saved the child. Born Again showed that even heroes can lose everything. Matt Murdock became homeless, lived on the streets, nearly died, but he clawed his way back, rebuilt, survived, because that's what Daredevil does. He gets knocked down, then gets back up, always. 2. Iron Man, Tony Stark. Tony Stark was a billionaire genius. He owned Stark International, lived in luxury, had everything money could buy: the Iron Man armor, the respect of the Avengers, a reputation as a hero. Then Obadiah Stane took it all away. Iron Man number 167 to 182, published in the early 1980s by writer Dennis O'Neil and artists Luke McDonnell and Steve Mitchell, told the story of Tony's complete destruction. Obadiah Stane was a business rival, but not just any rival. A master manipulator who'd studied Tony for years, learned his weaknesses, his triggers, failures, his breaking points. Stane's own childhood shaped his methods. His father had been a degenerate gambler, played Russian roulette, killed himself in front of young Obadiah. That trauma taught Stane to see the world as his opponent, to exploit weakness ruthlessly. Now, Tony Stark was his opponent. Stane attacked from every angle simultaneously. He sabotaged Stark International's business deals, used his connections to lock Tony out of contracts, had his agents, the chessmen, attack James Rhodes and other Stark employees. But the cruelest move was psychological. Stane set up Indri's Moomji, an agent posing as a woman interested in Tony. She seduced him, made him believe she cared. Then Moomji turned on Tony at his lowest point. She revealed she'd been sent by Stane, berated him, called him pathetic, worthless. Tony had been sober for 4 years after Demon in a Bottle, but Stane's psychological warfare broke him. The constant attacks, the betrayal, the loss of control. In Iron Man number 167, Tony fell off the wagon, picked up a bottle, started drinking again. He spiraled fast, couldn't stop. The drinking consumed him. Stane moved in for the kill. With Shield's help, he orchestrated a hostile takeover of Stark International. S.H.I.E.L.D. wanted a weapons manufacturer again. Stane promised to deliver. Tony wouldn't. Stane renamed the company Stane International. Took everything Tony had built. Tony was drunk, broken, unable to function as a hero. He gave the Iron Man armor to James Rhodes, told Rhodey to be Iron Man. He couldn't do it anymore. Then Tony became homeless. He wandered the streets, drinking himself into oblivion, spending what little money he had on alcohol, living in cheap, run-down hotels. When the money ran out, he slept in alleys, wearing filthy clothes, unshaven, barely recognizable as Tony Stark. He befriended other homeless people, found community among society's forgotten. A pregnant woman became his friend, someone who understood what it meant to have nothing. Then came the blizzard, Iron Man number 182, one of the worst snowstorms to hit New York in years. Tony and the pregnant woman were caught in it. The temperature plummeted. The woman went into labor, in the freezing cold, with no help. She died. The baby survived. That death became Tony's rock bottom. He held the baby, this innocent life, born into tragedy. Tony made a promise. He would protect this child. That vow gave him something he'd lost: purpose. Tony got sober. The process was brutal: withdrawal, hallucinations, physical pain. But he fought through it. He built new armor, the Silver Centurion, more advanced than anything before. Started a new company, Circuits Maximus. Rebuilt his fortune from scratch. Then he confronted Stane. Stane had built his own armor using notes Tony left behind. The Ironmonger, based on stolen Stark designs. More powerful than Tony's old armor, but not more powerful than the Silver Centurion. They fought. Tony systematically defeated Stane's agents, destroyed his death traps, proved he was the better man. Stane's final card was the baby, the child Tony had sworn to protect. Stane held it in the Ironmonger's hands, threatened to crush it if Tony didn't surrender. Tony detected interfering frequencies in Stane's armor, realized Stane needed an external computer to control it. Tony destroyed the computer with pulse bolts. The Ironmonger armor seized up, fell. Tony caught the baby, saved the child. Stane couldn't accept defeat, couldn't face humiliation. He removed his helmet, looked at Tony. Stane said he had one thing left: the ability to deprive Tony of enjoying his victory. He raised his hand to the side of his head, fired the repulsor ray, disintegrated his own skull. Tony won, got his life back, started Stark Enterprises. But he'd spent over a year homeless on the streets, drinking, broken, nearly frozen to death. His alcoholism would remain a permanent part of his character, something he'd struggle with for decades. He'd go to Alcoholics Anonymous, sponsor Carol Danvers, but he'd never forget the streets. 3. The Hulk, Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner has been homeless more times than almost any other hero. It's not a single storyline. It's a pattern, a cycle that defines his existence. The fugitive scientist, the man who can never settle down, never have a home, always running, always hiding. Multiple comic runs depicted Banner as a wandering homeless drifter. The most notable include Incredible Hulk number 34 in 2002 by writer Bruce Jones and artist John Romita Jr., and The Incredible Hulk in 2023 by writer Philip Kennedy Johnson. But Bruce's homelessness started the moment he became the Hulk. After the gamma bomb explosion at the test site in New Mexico, Bruce transformed into the Hulk, a green monster of pure rage, uncontrollable, destructive. General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, Betty's father, made it his personal mission to hunt Bruce down. The military wanted to capture him, study him, use him as a weapon. So Bruce ran. He couldn't go home, couldn't maintain relationships, couldn't hold a job. Every time he got angry, the Hulk emerged. Destruction followed. The military tracked the destruction. Bruce adopted the life of a fugitive, a homeless wanderer. He drifted across America, using fake names in cheap motels. Bruce Danner, Bruce Roberts, whatever name kept him hidden. He grew beards to disguise himself, shaved his head when that didn't work, changed his appearance constantly. When he had no money, he slept in alleys, under bridges, in abandoned buildings, wherever he could hide. The Return of the Monster storyline by Bruce Jones showed this life in detail. Bruce as a fugitive, homeless, paranoid, barely surviving. He stayed in dingy motels under assumed names, kept an encrypted laptop as his only connection to the outside world, messaged a mysterious contact called Mr. Blue, never meeting anyone in person. He couldn't risk relationships, couldn't let anyone get close. The Hulk made that impossible. The Hulk made everything worse. Every time Banner transformed, he left destruction. Buildings damaged, people hurt. The military tracked every incident, found patterns, got closer. Bruce had to keep moving, never staying in one place too long. One night in a motel, then moving on, always looking over his shoulder. He befriended other homeless people occasionally, found brief community among society's forgotten, people who didn't ask questions, didn't judge. But even that couldn't last. The Hulk always emerged eventually. Bruce would wake up miles away, destruction in his wake, having to run again. The cycle never ended. In the 2023 run by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Banner once again finds himself homeless, wandering the American South. His relationship with Hulk at a new low. Something changed. Something terrible. Hulk now emerges whenever Bruce feels happy. Not angry, happy. The transformation trigger reversed. Bruce's own abusive actions toward the Hulk caused it. Now Hulk rattles the bars of his cage inside Bruce's mind, determined to lock Bruce away, take control permanently, so Bruce can never feel at peace, never feel safe, never settle down, never be happy. Any moment of joy triggers the transformation. Hulk takes over. Bruce loses time, wakes up somewhere else, has to start running again. Bruce drifts from town to town, helps people when he can, stops crimes, saves lives, then moves on before Hulk emerges. He can't afford happiness, can't afford connection, can't afford to stop moving. Bruce Banner's homelessness isn't temporary. It's not a single story arc that ends with him rebuilding. It's cyclical, perpetual. Every few years, something happens. He loses everything, becomes homeless again. The pattern repeats. Sometimes he regains stability, joins the Avengers, works in a lab, has a home for a while, but it never lasts. The Hulk ensures that. The military ensures that. His own nature ensures that. He'll always be the wandering homeless man, the fugitive, the person who can never truly rest. It's the curse of being the Hulk. Never having a home, never having stability, never being able to stay in one place, always running, always alone, always one transformation away from losing everything again. 4. Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan was a fearless test pilot, a member of the Green Lantern Corps, one of the greatest heroes in the DC universe. Then, he lost everything. In Green Lantern #1, published in 2011 as part of DC's New 52 reboot, writer Jeff Johns showed Hal at his absolute lowest. After the events of War of the Green Lanterns, the Guardians of the Universe expelled Hal from the Corps. They stripped him of his power ring, sent him back to Earth. He returned with nothing. Hal had been in space for years, fighting two massive wars, the Sinestro Corps War, the War of the Green Lanterns, saving the universe multiple times. He'd neglected his civilian life completely, forgotten about Earth, about his responsibilities as Hal Jordan. Now he had to face the consequences. His employer, Ferris Aircraft, had fired him years ago. He disappeared without explanation, stopped showing up, never called. His apartment lease expired while he was gone. The landlord sold all his belongings. Everything he owned, gone. He had no car, no home, no job, no money, no savings. Hal Jordan, one of the greatest Green Lanterns, was homeless. He returned to Coast City, his hometown, but he had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. His brother's family couldn't help. They had their own problems. Hal had been absent for too long. Carol Ferris, his ex-girlfriend and former employer, couldn't help either. She'd moved on, built a life without him. Hal tried staying with friends, but those friendships had withered. He'd been gone too long, missed too many important moments, burned too many bridges. He slept on couches when he could find them, in his car when he had access to one, which wasn't often. Writer Jeff Johns described the storyline as featuring substantial comedy. Hal trying to navigate ordinary civilian life, failing spectacularly at every turn. He had no idea how to function without the ring. He tried to get a job, any job, but his resume had massive gaps. Years-long disappearances with no explanation. Potential employers asked questions he couldn't answer. Where had he been? Why did he leave Ferris Aircraft? What had he been doing? Hal couldn't tell them the truth. He'd been in space, fighting alien wars, saving the universe. They wouldn't believe him. They'd think he was insane. So he made up excuses, vague answers. Employers saw through them, turned him down. Hal Jordan couldn't even get hired as a test pilot anymore. The career he'd excelled at, the identity he'd built before becoming Green Lantern. He'd been gone too long. the industry moved on. Younger pilots took his place. He was obsolete in both his civilian life and his superhero life. Then the Guardians made Sinestro a Green Lantern again, Hal's greatest enemy, the architect of the Sinestro Corps War. The Guardians forced Hal and Sinestro to work together. Hal hated it, but he needed the ring, needed purpose, needed to not be homeless and powerless. Sinestro held all the leverage. He controlled Hal's ring, could take it away at any moment. Hal had to cooperate, had to follow Sinestro's lead, had to accept being the junior partner. It was humiliating, degrading, but it was better than being powerless on Earth. Eventually, Hal earned his ring back permanently, rejoined the Corps, rebuilt his reputation. But he never forgot those months, being homeless, being powerless, being unable to function in normal society. Hal Jordan learned that being a hero doesn't guarantee civilian success. He'd saved the universe multiple times, but that didn't help him get a job, didn't help him find housing, didn't help him reconnect with the people he'd abandoned. The skills that made him a great Green Lantern meant nothing on Earth. Fearlessness, willpower, combat ability, those didn't pay rent, didn't maintain relationships, didn't build a stable life. Hal realized he'd sacrificed everything for the Corps, and when the Corps didn't need him anymore, he had nothing left. 5. Plastic Man, Eel O'Brien. Before he was Plastic Man, Eel O'Brien was a street kid. In Police Comics #1, published in August 1941, creator Jack Cole introduced Eel's origin. Orphaned at age 10, parents dead, Eel was forced to live on the streets. No family, no home, no money. He did what he had to do to survive. He fell into a life of crime, became a safecracker, joined a burglary ring led by Skizzle Shanks. He was good at it, made a name for himself, wanted in 8 states. Then everything changed during a robbery at Crawford Chemical Works. Security guards caught the gang, shot at them. Eel got hit. A barrel of acid spilled on him. The acid entered his wound. His gang abandoned him, left him to die, ran without looking back. Eel fled through swamps, collapsed halfway up a mountain. Monks from Rest Haven Monastery found him. They nursed him back to health, showed him kindness. The first positive male role models he'd ever had. Then Eel discovered the acid changed him. His body had all the properties of rubber. He could stretch, bounce, mold himself into any shape. But in the 1988 to 1989 Plastic Man miniseries by Phil Foglio, Eel's transformation was horrifying. After being shot and exposed to chemicals, Eel wandered the streets. His new powers developed uncontrollably. He morphed into frightening forms, scared everyone who saw him. Cops, civilians, even his own gang. They thought he was a monster, shot at him. The police and National Guard hunted him. Eel was oblivious to the changes at first. Then he realized he was the monster. He used his powers to escape, but he was so despondent about his condition that he tried to commit suicide. He jumped off a bridge. Woozy Winks, a former Arkham Asylum inmate, stopped him, saved his life. Together, they decided to use Eel's powers for good, fight crime instead of committing it. Eel became Plastic Man, but he never forgot his time on the streets, homeless, abandoned, nearly killing himself. That experience shaped who he became, the wisecracking hero who hides pain behind jokes. Even superheroes can lose everything. Daredevil, Iron Man, Hulk, Green Lantern, and Plastic Man all survived homelessness, just like real people do. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe for more comic book history.